On the day of his grand wedding, a wealthy man invited his ex-wife, not to honor her, but to humiliate her in front of the whole city. He expected her to walk in broken and ashamed. But when she stepped out of a black Rolls-Royce, holding the hands of 3 little boys, the hall fell silent. Every guest turned. Every secret began to unravel. What happened next shocked everyone. In the town of Ahanesa, where the market wakes with drums and the sunset wears gold, there lived a man named Kofi. He was young and rich, with smooth cars that purred like leopards and suits that shone like fish scales. When he walked, he lifted his chin as if the earth were too small for his feet. People greeted him, and he soaked up their words the way dry ground drinks first rain. But behind his high walls lived Amma, his quiet wife of 7 years. She had soft eyes and a kind heart. She had given her time, her prayers, and her strength. Yet each month came and went like a bird that would not perch, and there was no child's cry in their house. Kofi's pride grew heavier, like a calabash filled with stones. One night, the wind paused to listen. Kofi threw down his keys and thundered, "7 years, Amma. Still no child. Do you want me to leave this world with no heir?" Amma's voice shook. "My husband, we have tried. Let us see another doctor. Maybe there is hope." "Hope?" Kofi laughed without joy. "Hope cannot carry my name." His words cut like a machete. "What is a woman who gives no child? You eat my food and wear my clothes, yet you give me only silence." Amma's tears fell, but her hands were steady. "We vowed before God. For better, for worse." Kofi turned away, heart hard as sun-baked clay. "Tomorrow, the lawyer. This marriage is finished." The moon hid behind a cloud. "A hen that lays no egg," Kofi said, "must leave the coop." And the house went cold. The house held its breath. Amma folded her dresses with trembling fingers. Every cloth carried a memory. Church songs, birthdays, quiet laughter after rain. Kofi watched with his arms crossed, face carved from stone. Not once did his eyes soften. Amma looked at him one last time. "Kofi, you will regret this. One day you will see the truth." He turned his face away as if she were already smoke. Amma walked past the maids, past the long corridor that had once felt like home. She opened the big door, and the night air touched her cheeks like a mother's hand. "I may be leaving with little," she whispered, "but I will not be broken. God will fight for me." Her feet carried her down the road, the street lights blinking like tired fireflies. Dogs curled themselves into tiny moons. Stalls closed one by one. No one knew the woman with the small bag had just lost a home, a husband, and her peace. At last she reached the door of Efua, the friend who had kept her number safe in her heart since university days. Amma knocked. Efua opened, eyes wide, wrapper tied tight. "Sister, what has happened? Did someone die?" Amma fell into her arms and wept quietly. Efua drew her inside. "This house is your house now. Breathe. I will boil water. You will bathe. You will eat. Tomorrow we will think." Outside, a lonely wind made the trees tell each other secrets. Inside, a small flame of safety woke in Amma's chest. Days passed like soft footsteps. Amma sat by Efua's window and watched the road, as if an answer might walk by wearing a hat. Food tasted dull. Sleep came late and left early. When Efua said, "Come to the market, my sister," Amma shook her head. "People will ask about Kofi. What will I say?" Efua's eyes flashed. "Say the truth, that a foolish man threw away a diamond and picked a stone." But later Efua asked, "Have you ever done a full test at the hospital?" Amma frowned. "What kind of test?" "A woman's health. Fertility," Efua said gently. "Did Kofi test himself?" "He refused," Amma whispered. "He said I was the problem." Efua stood, hands on hips. "Enough. Tomorrow we go to Life River Clinic. Let the truth come with its own feet." Amma nodded, tired but ready. The next morning they walked into a cool room where Dr. Mensah, a kind man with calm eyes, greeted them. We will run tests, he said. Then we will talk. Blood was drawn. Cans hummed. Time moved like a lazy snail. 2 days later they returned. Dr. Mensah smiled. Amma, your body is well. Your womb is sound. You are healthy. If there was no child for 7 years, your former husband should check himself. Amma covered her mouth as tears rose, but this time they were light. Efua clapped softly. I knew it. He wore pride like a crown and blamed you to hide his fear. Outside the clinic, the sky looked bluer. Amma sat on a bench. All these years I begged, I cried. I hated myself. Efua held her hand. Now you know. Truth walks slowly, but it never loses the road. The days began to taste different. Amma helped Efua with her tailoring. The whir of the machine sounded like hope. One evening Amma said, I want to cook for people. Small food stand. That is the gift my mother put in my hands. Efua's smile spread like sunrise. Then let us begin. They cleared the little veranda. They washed pots until they shone. At dawn, pepper met onions, rice met stew, and the air filled with a song of spice. Workers lined up before the sun found its hat. People took a first spoon and then a second. Madam, your jollof has the voice of the drum, a man said. Amma smiled, a little shy and a little brave. But sometimes at night she asked, Did Kofi ever love me? Efua answered softly. He loved himself more. You gave him a house of peace. He wanted only noise from crowds. One afternoon a man arrived with a small black bag and kind eyes. His shirt was white, his trousers brown. 2 plates please, he said. Spicy. I like my food to fight back. Amma laughed. Then your tongue is a warrior. He grinned. My name is Kwame. I work down the road. Your rice has won my heart. Kwame returned the next day and the next. He brought plantain, onions, and sometimes bottled water for the stand, he said. He did not talk too much. He did not push. He stood near like shade on a hot day. And Amma noticed that when he left, her heart did not feel so heavy. The road between Amma and Kwame was slow and straight. He asked one afternoon when the line was gone, Do you rest at all? I rest when the pots rest, she answered, wiping her hands. Do you have help? I am used to carrying my own load, she said. There was a gentle silence. Then he asked softly, Were you married? I was, Amma said, voice like a thin thread. Kwame nodded. I am sorry. Later he spoke again, eyes on the sky. I was married too. My wife died in a car crash. Since then my heart hid in a small room. But lately it peeks out when I come here. You remind me of peace. I am afraid, Amma whispered. I know, Kwame said. I am not Kofi. I will not break what is healing. Weeks turned into months. Efua teased. Who is the man who buys your rice and leaves you with a smile? Amma rolled her eyes, but her cheeks answered for her. Kwame brought small gifts, never loud, always useful. He listened to her dream of a real restaurant. One day, he said, we will open doors with your name on them. One evening they walked under mango trees and the world was soft. Why me? Amma asked. Because you are real, Kwame said. You carry pain, but you did not lie down in it. They married in a small circle of friends. No loud drums, only honest claps. Efua danced as if she had found gold. Kwame kissed Amma's forehead each morning. I love you, my queen, he said. And for the first time in years, Amma's heart sat down and rested. One day stew smelled wrong to Amma. Her body felt weak. Kwame said gently, Let us go to the clinic. They ran tests. Amma sat biting her nails, eyes on the floor. The nurse returned with a smile big enough for two. Mother, she said, you are with child. Amma covered her mouth. I am pregnant. 3 weeks, the nurse nodded. Kwame lifted Amma from her chair. You will be a mother. We will be parents. Her tears fell like sweet rain. Months moved like a drum rhythm. Then the scan came. The doctor's eyes widened. Madam, there are 3 heartbeats. 3. Amma sat up. Yes, the doctor laughed. You carry triplets. Their home burst into joy. Kwame knelt and thanked God. Neighbors brought gifts. Efua sewed tiny shirts like folded dawn. On a calm Saturday, 3 boys opened their eyes to a mother's kiss. Nurses clapped. The doctor smiled. Kwame held one and said, "This one has my ears, so I am keeping him." Amma gathered all 3, whispering, "I was not barren. Truth has spoken." Word moved faster than bicycles. People said, "Is this not Amma, the one Kofi drove away?" "She has 3 sons," others answered. Some smiled with joy, some shook their heads. But Amma did not look back. She fed her boys in the early hours, watched small fingers curl, and rested her cheek on their soft hair. A broken reed had become a flute singing. Far across town, Kofi sat in his big office, spinning slowly in a proud chair. His business had grown, but his house echoed with emptiness. He had courted 3 women in 3 years. None carried a child. One left, saying she could not live where a mother-in-law counted days like beans. Kofi's mother, Ma Bina, pressed him. "You chase fashion more than family. When I brought you Amma, I told you to be patient. You threw her away." "Do not speak her name," Kofi snapped, but at night her memory walked through his rooms. One morning a friend named Kojo called. "I want you to meet Zuri. She is tall, beautiful, from a rich family, a fashion designer, and very bold." "You talk as if she is a new car," Kofi laughed, but he agreed. Zuri spoke with a steady voice and wore gowns that looked like moonlight. Kofi admired her style and her fire. Soon they were seen everywhere. He bought her gifts, dresses, a phone, even a car. "If we are serious, let us marry," Zuri said one evening, sipping juice as if it were water. "I do not believe in long talk." Kofi called a planner that night. The wedding would be the talk of the town. Red carpet, a live band, guests flying in. He wanted the world to watch. He wanted Amma to watch most of all. His pride whispered, "Let her choke on regret." He wrote one more name on the guest list by his own hand. Amma. First row. Zuri's gown would come from a far city. Her bridesmaids learned dance steps until their feet knew the song before the drum. But in her quiet moments, Zuri counted days and checked little sticks. Chwan said no. She asked softly one night, "Kofi, shall we both see a doctor?" He turned cold. "You sound like Amma. Do not go there." Zuri kept her fear in her chest, wrapped tight. On a bright morning in Amma's home, one of the babies giggled while the other 2 battled a toy drum. Amma was bathing a child when Efua's phone buzzed. "Sister," Efua gasped. "A wedding invitation." "From who?" Amma asked. "Kofi." Amma read the golden card. Her name was printed in bold. First row seat. The hall would be near the water, with long red carpets and lights like stars. Efua's anger rose. "Is this a joke? Is he crazy?" Amma rocked her child and spoke gently. "He wants me to feel small." "Then we will not go," Efua said. Amma looked at her 3 sons, warm and breathing and real. "Or we will show him the truth." They planned with calm hands. Amma chose a long yellow gown that Efua had sewn months ago. "I want to look peaceful, not loud," she said. "You will look like God's proof," Efua smiled. The boys would wear white shirts, yellow shorts, and small bow ties. A friend found a black Rolls-Royce. They practiced the walk, each boy holding Amma's hand. At night, Kwame stood behind Amma and rested his hands on her shoulders. "You do not need to do this," he said. "I want to," she answered. "Not to hurt him, but to remember I survived." The whole town of Ahanesa hummed. Hashtags flew like birds. People whispered, "Kofi and Zuri's wedding will shake the sky." The hall near the water wore chandeliers and golden chairs. Cameras flashed like angry fireflies. Politicians and merchants sat at the front. Zuri looked into a mirror, veil soft as a cloud. Her friend fixed it and said, "You look like morning." Zuri smiled, but her heart tapped a worried drum. Kofi stood at the altar in a white agbada with gold like fish scales. He checked his watch again and again. Then a black Rolls-Royce slid to the door like a quiet river. The back door opened. Amma stepped out in a yellow gown that held the sun. Her face was calm, her steps were sure, and at each side walked a small boy, with the third holding her skirt like a secret. The hall pulled in its breath. Phones rose. "Is that his ex-wife?" someone whispered. "Triplets," another answered. Kofi could not breathe. He stepped away from the altar without knowing his feet had moved. Amma's eyes met his. She smiled, simple and soft. The crowd made a path. She took the first row seat that he had chosen for her, but not for this story. The boys climbed onto her lap and whispered, "Mama, we made it." Zuri walked in and felt the quiet. She saw Kofi stiff at the front, eyes fixed on Amma and the children. "What is happening?" she whispered. The pastor coughed. "Shall we begin?" But Kofi's pride was melting like butter in the sun. The crowd's eyes moved like a flock of birds. Zuri leaned close. "Who is that woman with those boys?" Kofi swallowed. "That is Amma. Your ex-wife." He nodded. "And those children?" Kofi's mouth opened, then closed. Zuri's voice sharpened. "You told me she was barren." "I thought she was," Kofi stammered. "You thought," Zuri said, hurt turning to fire. "You never showed me any test. You refused to see a doctor. You wanted to marry me to paint over your fear." She faced the hall. He invited his ex-wife to shame her. But look, truth has walked in holding hands. Murmurs rose and fell like waves. Kojo, the best man, tried to calm her. "Zuri, let us step outside." "No," she said. "We speak here." Zuri turned to Amma. "Mother, forgive me for asking. Are these your children?" Amma stood, lifted the smallest boy. "Yes," she said, voice steady. "They are my sons." He faced Kofi. "You called me barren. You threw me out. You made me believe I was less than a woman. But I was not the problem. You refused to be tested. God has shown the truth and gave me not one child, but 3. Kofi's tongue felt heavy. Zuri's eyes cooled. "I cannot marry you," she said, laying her bouquet on the stage. "Not today. Not ever." The hall gasped. The choir sat without a song. The cameras dimmed. Zuri turned and walked away, her footsteps clear as a bell. The peacock had lost his feathers. Amma rose without rush. She took each boy's hand. She did not shout. She did not laugh. She walked like a queen leaving a court with truth wrapped around her shoulders. Efua met her at the door, eyes bright. "Sister, you did it." "I came only to be seen," Amma said. "Not to destroy." They entered the Rolls-Royce, and the driver closed the door like closing a storybook. Inside, one child asked, "Mama, are you okay?" "I am more than okay," she smiled. Back in the hall, Kofi sank onto the stage edge. The gold on his robe looked dull, like a sun behind smoke. Kojo sat beside him. "Brother, what now?" Kofi stared at the door Zuri had walked through and saw nothing else. Outside, the wind carried pieces of the story across town. People posted clips of Amma stepping out of the car, of Zuri dropping her bouquet, of Kofi standing frozen like a tree struck by lightning. Hashtags flew. Amma returns. Triplets at the wedding. Pride exposed. That evening, Efua read comments aloud as Amma fed the boys. "This woman is a true queen," one said. "She did not fight with hands. She fought with truth." Amma shook her head. "I did not do it for claps. I did it so my heart will not hide anymore." Somewhere, drums practiced for another day. In Amma's home, peace folded itself on the couch like a cat. Night found Kofi's door and did not leave. He stood in his mirror and saw a man he did not know. The gardener did not smile anymore. The guard opened the gate like a tired person. Business partners whispered and stepped away. The peacock feathers had turned to straw. Kojo came again. "Did you ever test yourself?" Kofi looked at the floor. "I did not need to." Says who? Kojo asked. You. Gossip. Pride. Kofi's voice cracked. She begged me to try. I called her cursed. I told her to leave. Silence sat with them. Kojo spoke softly. Now truth sits with you. What will you do? I will go to her, Kofi said. He went to Alma's small warm home. He stood like a boy who has broken a pot. Alma, he said, eyes red. I did not come to fight. She folded her arms and waited. I ruined everything, he whispered. I judged you. I wore pride like a crown. I was wrong. You did not only shame me, Alma said, voice steady. You crushed me. I went to the clinic this morning, Kofi said, almost in a whisper. The doctor says I have low sperm count, maybe from an old infection I never treated. Alma blinked. So all those years. Yes, he said. It was me. She looked at him for a long moment. I have moved on, she said at last. I do not hate you. He nodded, tears falling. I do not deserve forgiveness. I forgive you, she answered, as simple as water. But my life is no longer yours. Kofi bowed his head. The heavy cup had reached his lips. A month passed, and the noise of the failed wedding became a softer echo. Yet inside Kofi, storms still gathered and broke. He could not sleep. He could not eat well. The clinic report lay on his desk like a stubborn stone. Low sperm count, low motility. Begin treatment. He began the steps, one by one, no longer a king, only a man who wished to become kind. Some investors walked away. Some staff left. Those who stayed spoke to him as people speak to a person who has dropped his load. Gently, with distance. But under the broken roof, a small light began to grow. Humility. In Alma's home, peace flowed like a river that knows the way. Kwame returned from a trip and hugged her. I saw the clips, he said. You walked like a lioness. It was not easy, she smiled. I am proud of you, he said. More than that, I am grateful you stood up for yourself. At night they watched their sons sleep. One day they will ask, Alma said. We will tell them the full story. And we will teach them to be gentle men, Kwame said, whose strength is not shouting but care. The restaurant opened its doors wider. The signboard had Alma's name, and the smell of stew called people from far streets. Efua stood at the counter, counting plates with a grin. Life did not forget its wounds, but it learned to dance without limping. The elders say a calabash that lies on its side cannot hold water. Pride knocked Kofi's calabash over and laughed. Truth lifted it and spoke. In time, Kofi learned to listen to small words that carry big wisdom. Test yourself, ask forgiveness, protect the gentle, and never make a woman swallow your shame. He stood one evening by his window and said aloud, I destroyed the woman who loved me. Now I will learn to be a man who does not destroy. He put away the mirror that told him he was the sun. He opened the window that told him he was only a person who could change. Far away, Alma tucked 3 boys into bed. She and Kwame washed their hands and sat to eat. They did not count gold, but they counted peace. Efua laughed in the doorway, shaking a wooden spoon like a drumstick. From small veranda to big restaurant, she sang. The story of Alma did not end in the wedding hall. It walked into mornings filled with simple joy. A repaired tap, clean bowls, boys chasing each other, a husband's forehead kiss. Her scars became maps that showed where she had been and how she had come home. Listen, children of Ahanesa. When a man wears pride like a crown, he loses his head. When a woman wears dignity like cloth, she does not need to shout. What some called barrenness, God turned into overflow. And the talking calabash says, carry truth gently and it will carry you.